Back in our list.php file, after the opening form tag, let's type opening PHP tag echo URL get params for number 4 search. This is our new method. Then we pass array with srch as first parameter, and then paging and the key, which is used basically for the paging, and closing, another closing bracket, semicolon, and closing PHP. Now paging, as you may remember, maybe not, paging key is basically a private property, so we won't be able to access this outside of the class. So what we need to do is basically change it scope to public. So if we go to our paging class, private static key, so we need to make it public so that we can actually access it outside of this class. So if we close the file, now if we open our URL class, we can close the browser, scroll right to the bottom, because we're going to be creating new static method, which will be called, if we go back to our list, get params for search. So public static function get params for search. We will be taking just one parameter, which is remove equals null by default. And now self get all, as we need to get all of the parameters from the URL first. Now out will be a new empty array. And we start for each self underscore params s key equals value. We should also first check if params isn't empty. So if we copy this, so if isn't empty params, then perform this loop. Otherwise, if params was empty and we start looping, we would get an error as well. So it's always best to obviously make sure that we don't get any errors unnecessarily. Okay, so now we check if isn't empty, remove, which means if we got some parameters sent through, then remove is array, we check in if it's array, remove, then we simply pass it as it is. Otherwise, we will put remove to array, because we need to make sure that remove is array basically. Okay, so now that we have this sorted out, we check if isn't in array key through which we are currently looping, remove. Then we push to our out array input type hidden, and it's going to have a name with the key, basically name. Then we have value. Let's continue. Value, which will be the value as well from this specific loop, and then closing input tag and semicolon right at the end. We could obviously put this whole thing, and most probably this is what we're going to do to make sure that we can see it better. Input, let's create the variable input, start like this, and basically finish this here, then concatenate this input lower here. So we've got everything actually visible. You may not have to, depending on your screen resolutions. Obviously, I'm recording in 960 by 600, so obviously this is why we have so much, quite a few lines of wrapping around basically. So let's assign this input now to our out array. Then obviously if remove is empty, we do else statement, and we do basically the same thing. Only this time we don't have to make sure whether it's we don't have to check whether it's isn't inside of the remove array. So that's all fine. And now right at the end, after our for each loop, we return implode. We're going to be imploding without anything, basically no spaces even. So out our out array, and that's all done. So we are now ready to move on to the next video.